Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And we also, too, love talking about time management, productivity, and being organized. We're honored to be joined by Dr. Paris Love. She's the CEO of Paris Love Productivity Institute. Doesn't get any better than that. Paris, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me back. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So, for those who missed when you came on before, let's start with a little bit of your backstory, because you are a former U.S. Army Sergeant. You're affectionately known as the Drill Sergeant of Productivity. And so give us a little bit of your backstory and then how you got into this world of organizing productivity and all that stuff as an entrepreneur.
Yes, I am a former military sergeant. I was never a drill sergeant, but my clients call me a drill sergeant. So I love order. And I was that child who would make their bed, organize the spices. In college, I made our bed, make sure everything was in order. Went to the military, and I will admit, I still roll my underwear and roll my socks individually. And the drill sergeant would look at my wall locker and go, "You have got to be kidding me." And they would just trash it. I'm like, well, I thought this is how you wanted it. So it was just innate. And I can't even talk, but what I do. So fast forward a couple of years, I have a son that has special needs. And so we were in a doctor's office and I'm organizing his bookcase. And he was like, it's not normal to go to other people's offices and homes and organize their stuff. And I thought, well, my friends like when I come over. And he said, you have obsessive compulsive disorder. I'm like, oh my goodness. And my son, he has OCD as well. And I thought, well, that's the issue. It's me. So I started doing more research on OCD. And I discovered the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals. And I thought, wait a minute. So I'm not weird because there are other people like me. And then the light bulb went off. They get paid to do this? So I started my business 19 years ago. And when I'm working, my clients are like, yeah, you're weird. Because I like to get in there and touch it and put it in order. Like I live for this. Like it makes my heart sing. So my clients are like, yeah, you're a little weird, but I'm gonna let you do what you gotta do.
How do you describe what you do? Because you have time management modules. So you teach classes. You also, too, you do coaching, consulting, you work with businesses, individuals. So how do you encapsulate all that you do?
Great question. So when I started my business 19 years ago, it was the organizing the closet, organize the kitchen, the garage. My background is in psychology, hence the Dr. Paris Love. And I realized that it wasn't about the clutter. It's about something else. There's a reason why we do what we do. Like I'm the A student that sits in the back of the room and I just watch what people do. I'm like fascinated by why people do what they do. So a lot of times when we have stuff, like the physical stuff, like it's the reason why we purchase multiple items. It's the reason why we pile papers up. It's the reason why we're like, I'll do this later. I don't really have time. It's the reason why we procrastinate. And a lot of times people say, well, I don't have time for that. I'm like, oh, really? Because we all get the same amount of time. It's how you're utilizing that time. And it was a common theme that I found with my clients, the time management, I really don't feel worthy. I don't feel good enough. The new buzzword, imposter syndrome. Like, why is that showing up in your life? And clutter is just a byproduct of that. So I'm the person that's like, let's figure this out. I can make your home look like something out of a magazine. Your office, like, oh my goodness, like this is office. I want to work here. But let's really get to the root cause of it. Because if we don't get to the root cause of it, it's just going to continue and it's going to continue to show up.
And I think that's a very important piece of this is that it's not like, okay, going in and just the physical, like I'm cleaning it once and you're done. To your point, if you don't get to the root, it's not a long-term solution. And you're trying to really create long-term impact and change. And the organizing is a piece of that, obviously, but there's so much more as you dive in deeper. So yes. Where do you like to start? Because I know when you go to businesses, you, just like you're talking about, you sit back and just kind of watch and you get a feel for what's going on. So when you're starting out with somebody, what are you looking for? What are the things that you're paying attention to?
So I'm gonna give you my little dirty little secret. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, we call Paris. So normally when someone reaches out to me, I would Google you. I'll look to see if you have a physical office. If you have a physical storefront, I actually go by. I call it a drive-by. And I act like I'm a customer. I go in and I look at how their employees are interacting with each other, how they interact with the customers coming in, like that entire environment. Because when I come back, people are like, oh my God, like, I remember you. I'm like, mm-hmm. And I want to see you when people know that I'm coming, they're on their best behavior. I want you always to be on your best behavior, but I want to catch those moments where you're not in your best behavior, because those are the moments that people see. If you're going to your lawyer's office and it's like paper all over the place and you're like, how are you going to help me with my case when you can't find anything? And a lot of times people say, well, I know exactly where it is, Paris. And how long does it take you to find it? That's the key. So I like to go and do my recon beforehand, and then I come and we can work on those systems and processes. Another little dirty trick, you're getting all my secrets today. A lot of times when people know I'm coming, it's like the cleaner coming to clean your house and you clean up before they get there. I'm like, no, don't do anything, because I can't teach you those skills if you make it nice and pretty for me. So I want to see the raw, the nitty gritty, and then we can come in and create those systems. I'm not trying to recreate the wheel. I look at what's working, what's not working, and then we can go from there.
Give us an illustration, either maybe a recent, client or company, individual that you've worked with, that illustrates that kind of change that they go through, where it's you coming in, assessing it, and then working with them to build that process to create really powerful change.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm gonna give you an example of a client that I have. She's a coach. She coaches other individuals, and she goes into corporation and does a little of the DEI, she looks at mindset. When we started working together, and she wanted to get to $1 million, when we started working, she was at $250,000. And I said, well, let's look at some of your processes. Let's really get your office in order. Because a lot of times when we're working, we're like, this is what I love to do. But in the back of your mind, I really need to file those papers. Oh, I need to do payroll. I need to hire people. Like, that's always in the back of your mind. And that's going to show up when you're in front of people. Like you ever have somebody like, something just wasn't, I don't know what it is. It's all that stinking thinking in the back, because it is mental and emotional clutter as well as physical clutter. So we started working together, got her office completely organized, even went into her home, because again, clutter will call to his friends, come visit me, come hang out with me. And it's going to carry over into your personal life, even if you're working on business. So we worked on all of that. She went from $250,000. Last year, she hit $1 million. And I understand that a lot of people may not aspire to get $1 million, but whatever, and that's what I do in my intake. Where do you want to go? When we work together, what's the end result? What's the one thing that you want to happen? Because we're going to work to get that.
Smart. Talk about the modules on time management, because that is something that you put out there on your website. People can see that. Talk about the time management side.
Yeah. So delegation is one, because nobody wants to delegate. Scheduling, systems and processes, communication. And I do look at some mindset, because it's what we think we bring about, what we focus on expands. I can do this all day.
Yeah, I'm about to say, keep it going. Yeah, I'm just gonna let you roll with it. So keep going.
Give you little scenarios too when I do the time management course. So it's like, here's little Johnny. This is what little Johnny did. Like, it's a scenario, and they're actually real life scenarios of clients that I work with. And these are things that have come up, because I realized that if one person has this issue, probably somebody else has the same issue. So that's a little nugget, everyone. We think that we're alone, like nobody else is having this issue. Trust me, if you have that issue, if somebody else out there who has it as well.
For you, kind of putting on your speaker hat, share some of your maybe top tips when it comes to the time management side on delegation. Also, too, I'm thinking, how do you, battle procrastination, like you mentioned? So what are some of your top tips?
So one thing is top one, mindset. Be very careful about what you say. Be careful what you think and say. My clients said, well, I don't have time, Paris. Well, if you continue to say that, the universe is going to give you 100 ways from Sunday why you don't have time. So trick the brain, because the subconscious mind doesn't know right from wrong. So whatever you tell it, it's going to believe is true. So how about, I have all the time in the world to do what I want to do. Oh, I have so much time. I'm getting a lot accomplished. Like, just try it and see how that shows up. Because as you're working through the day, you're like, oh, let me stop work. It's about 6 o'clock. And you go, it's only 12 o'clock. How did that happen? So retraining your brain to think that there's no lack of time. We all have the same amount of time. Number two, there's 168 hours in a week. 10% of that should be self-care, 16.8 hours. This is like a hot topic. I'm talking about this the last month. 60.8 hours a week of self-care. That's 2.4 hours every single day. I'll give y'all a moment to think about that. Paris, I can't do 2.4 hours every day. You just don't understand. Yeah, I do, because you are important. You have to take care of yourself. I call it soul care. If you can take care of yourself, trust me, everything else will fall in place. You will have those time management skills. And delegation. We think as business owners, we have to do it all. You know, the last time I gave this to Tay-Tay, they didn't do it right, so I don't give it to them. Well, if I want it done right, I have to do it. By the time I explain it, I could have done it. Maybe true. However, as a business owner, your passion is what you do. And we're doing everything else for everybody else, and we're not doing stuff for ourselves. Let me paint this picture. Let's say your favorite store is Walmart. I'm just going to throw Walmart out there. When you go to Walmart, they go, hey, welcome to Walmart. And then you walk around. Oh, excuse me, I have a question. And then you go and check out. There's someone there. It's a different person, right? Has anyone ever seen Sam Walden at Walmart? No, you won't see him there. And we call ourselves CEOs. What we do is we're the greeter. Hi, welcome to my business. We're walking around the store. We're checking them out. We're walking the groceries. We have to stop. And that's why we can't manage our time, because we're doing all the things. Okay, I just got a little tangent there.
That's a good illustration, though. I like that. You also now, one of the newer initiatives is working with veterans specifically and helping them. Talk about that initiative.
Yes. Oh, I was so excited about that. So 3-4 years ago, there was another professional organizer. She is Air Force. Yes, we're still friends. She lived in California and she was moving to Indiana. So she flew me out to help her pack up the house and drive the U-Haul back to Indiana. So on the way, it's almost like a girls trip. And I said, you know, what would be really nice if we can just stop at people's homes, organize them, and like keep going. We would do that. And I call it Declutter Across America. There are some episodes on YouTube. We're having fun, but you see us in people's home working. I'm at the container store, talking about the containers. And so fast forward to now, I've done a lot of presentations for military veteran women, and a lot's coming up. We're trying to transition back to civilian life, because in the military, we're so structured. Civilian life, what are you gonna do today? Yeah, whatever comes up. In the military, it's, everything's structured. So a lot of people are having a hard time transitioning, how is that showing up? With clutter. It's, I don't feel like doing this, or I'm purchasing things that I really don't need. Like, you're trying to fill this void because you try to get back to that structure, but you don't really know how to transition to a non-structured environment. And then there's life coming at you. There's the pandemic. There's a lot coming at you, which a confused mind does nothing, and an overwhelmed mind does nothing as well. And so I said, it would be really nice to travel the US and organize our military women and their families, like really get them back where they need to be. I would love to do it out of my own pocket, but I'm gonna be honest, I can't. So I'm trying to have a crowdfunding where we raise money, where we go to these families in this home. Now, the fact they will have to have some skin in the game, whether it's $25 or $100, where we go and we organize them to get them organized and clutter-free, set up those systems and processes so they can really live the life that they crave.
I love it. It's such a powerful way to be able to help those who obviously have sacrificed so much to protect our freedom. So how can we reach out? Where can we go? Mention your website, contact information, especially for those who say, hey, I want to get involved and support that effort. Where do we go?
Yeah. So you can catch me on all the social media platforms, Dr. Paris Love or Paris Love. And my website is drparislove.com.
Well, Paris, greatly appreciate all you're doing for sure. And always a pleasure having you on the show. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I enjoy coming. I love it here.